Good morning, everyone. It's time to read another chapter of The Young Dorkly the Wizard. And I hope I don't finish this uh, too soon by accident because I'm really anxious to get started on the new one that I'm wanting to write. But I'll try to keep playing this as long as I'm supposed to keep playing it. So this is chapter 23. Soon Dorkly heard a cup scraped back and forth on his bars. Remember, he's in jail. Slowly pulling him out of what little nap that he had taken. He was lying on his cot, struggling with a dream about big rats. He looked over his shoulder and looked at the guard with a tray of food, and his stomach started to growl. "Hey, Dorkly, hope you're doing okay in there. The other guard told me that you was asking for some food. Sorry it took a while. We don't hardly have anyone in here to fix food for. You must have really been up to something." And he laughed. "Don't have any table in here. If you'll set up, I'll plunk this on your lap and let you get on with it." Dorkly sat up, rubbing his fingers through his hair as the guard gave him the food tray. Dorkly looked up at the man. "What's your name?" "Private Wexel, sire." "Thanks," Dorkly said, "for the food. Looks pretty good." "We try, sire," the guard said. "We don't get anyone really bad in here. Those kind get sent to the prison." And he grinned. "The cook upstairs baked cakes today, and you got a piece of one of those. She also sent you some leftover potatoes and gravy from what we fixed for the king today." "Thanks, Wexel, and give my thanks to her, too." "I'll do that, Dorkly," he said, and he went on back up the stairs. Dorkly was famished, and he quickly started eating. After a while, he spotted the mouse dashing across the floor outside his cell. "Hey, you little pipsqueak," he said, and tossed him a small piece of cake. The mouse stopped, sniffed the cake, and picked it up, sat up, and started nibbling as fast as he could. "There you go, Sniffer. Enjoy what you get." The king was still sitting in his chambers, having just laced up his boots, and was still thinking of the lovely lady that he had danced with at a recent party. She had lovely dark hair, he was thinking, and was dressed like a princess. He sighed with a smile on his face. "She certainly looked like she has money. I wonder where she lives and what her family does." He called a servant from out of the hall and told him to send in a guard. When the guard arrived, Connolly told him to go to the spire where the king's mistress lived. "I hardly ever see her. Go tell her that I'm dismissing her, and for her to pack whatever I have given her, and then take her to a hotel in Binderbaum. There pay for a room for her for half a year, and here, give her the money as a small inheritance." The guard took off, and the king turned back to his thoughts of the lovely mystery lady. "I remember her name was Inella," he said to himself. "Lovely name for a lovely lady." He then stood, swigged down the last of his mead, and headed out of his chambers. So we can see that the king is getting ready to find a new lady, right? Wizard Gorman was in bed, a physician on one side, sitting at a table, talking with another. "We must send for the king and tell him how this is progressing," the one physician said. "Yes, we have given him every potion that we know relating to this and nothing's helping. Should we do some bloodletting? The other one inquired. At that time, the king entered the bedchamber. The physicians told him of all they had done and how the pain was spreading, and that they were asking permission to try bloodletting. No, said the king. The wizard and I have talked about this, and he has said repeatedly no to that idea. He asked me to honor his wishes on this, and I will. He walked over to the bed and looked down at his friend, seeing that he was very pale and that his breathing was very shallow. Keep watching him, he said, as he left Gorman's spire. He stood outside the door for a couple of minutes, wondering what he would do without his old friend. Then he hurried down the hall. I must go see Dorkly, he said to himself, now. In the meantime, a guard let Dupree into the king's side chamber off the side of the throne's chamber. Have a seat until the king returns, Prince Dupree, he said. I'll have a servant bring you some refreshments. He left some time ago, but should be back soon. Dupree thanked him and sat down, opening up the book that he was reading. King Conley rushed down the steps at the jail and walked over to Dorkly's cell. He saw that Dorkly looked sound asleep again. Dorkly, he snapped loudly. Dorkly jerked awake and sat up on the side of the cot, rubbing his eyes. He jumped up and hurried over to the bars, grabbing hold of them, staring out at the king. Is it my father? He said. That was the first thing that came to his mind. No. Well, yes, but we need to talk. He turned and motioned for the guard who brought him down to open the cell door. Then he went inside. Let's sit down. The only place to sit was on the cot. Your dad is not doing so good, Dorkly. He stands for a couple of hours by the throne, and then he's right back in his bed. His physicians told me a while ago that his pain is spreading. Dorkly sat there, silent, his eyes wide. He's getting worse, he asked. Can't his physicians do anything? What does he need? Dorkly was gibbering more than talking. The physicians don't seem to think there's anything else that they can do. We'll just have to wait and see how things go. I must admit, he said, looking at Dorkly sternly, that I was going to leave you in here a couple of more days, but I need a wizard by the throne. I'm having them release you and take you home, but you are to stay inside the palace until I tell you otherwise. Understand? Yes, sire, Dorkly said, looking the king straight in the eye. I know I've only been in here a short time, but I know that I can't be that reckless about selling potions, and he simply hung his head, shaking it. The king was stern with him, but patted him on the head and said, Good, come on, let's go home. He gave Dorkly a brief smile and said, And make sure the first thing that you do is have some servants see to getting you clean. There's quite a smell. Well, it could be Sniffy over there, that mouse, Dorkly muttered. No, I don't think so. Come on. Later, the king was walking the hallway around the throne room towards the door to his dwelling when he saw his guard and Dermis sitting outside the doors drinking mead and chatting. Well, this is a nice surprise, the king grinned. Can I join in? He chuckled as he turned to the guard and said, Or can I take my son on inside? The guard chuckled as he got up and opened the doors to the king's chambers. Conley and Dermis entered, and the guard closed the doors. "Well, to what do I owe this unexpected visit?" the king said as they sat down before the fireplace, with the warming fires of a fire which the servants had prepared not long before. "How's the wedding plans coming along?" Dermis asked. "Not fast enough," Conley said. "Entirely my fault, though. There should be 2 of me, I'm afraid." "Can I do anything to help?" Dermis asked, sipping his wine. "Nah, things are about ready," and the king smiled. "One more day should do it. Saturday shall be the big day. I have guards delivering the invitations everywhere. I have other guards and servants inside the palace taking care of everything else." He beamed. "The cooks are already started on the food, and so on. I haven't checked with Dermis or Othello, but surely they're ready," and he laughed. Dupree chuckled at how flustered his brother and sister probably were. He laughed and said they probably won't be ready when they're standing in front of Father Dunner. Then he asked about Wizard Gorman, and the king told him how worried he was and how little the physicians were able to do. Then Dupree got to the point of why he had come. So we shall see next time what it is that Dupree is here for. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode and that you'll be back with me next Friday. Watch some blogs that I'll have here and there along the way, and anything else that I might put up. And thank you for being here with me today. Bye-bye.